to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you for coming on the show today. You are back.
I'm happy to be back, Sparkle.
And it's your first time.
It is my first time. Thank you for having me.
I love seeing like the team and seeing it grow. Okay, so tell us what you guys have coming up in March.
We are so excited to have CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates, our third annual Chef Cook-Off. It is bigger, it is better. It's going to be held at the Clovis Rodeo Grounds, Saturday, March 2nd from 6 to 9. Not only are you get to sample and vote for 6 chefs, and it's just beautiful and tasty and everything else, but you're not going to go away hungry because we have 15 additional chefs who are not competing, but they want you to sample their foods. They are from the Clovis Culinary School.
Oh, wow. So that's a lot of wow.
We're talking about 21 different foods that you can, I call it Costco on a Saturday on steroids. You won't go away. And if by chance you want a full plate, a meal, you can certainly purchase from any one of those 15 vendors.
But you get full, having 20 different samples, wow.
Right. You're not going to leave hungry.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what else is going on at this event besides like getting to networking? Like, so what's going on? Is there drinks? What else is happening?
Absolutely. So
you're never disappointed on that.
We listen to what our clients like. So we will have 2 full bars, one inside, one outside. And the beauty of this event is we're preparing for all types of weather. If it's great weather, you can be outside. If it's going to be rainy, you just never know. We have the entire venue inside as well. So there is absolutely drinks. There is the Casa specialties. And then also we have a great DJ that we have.
Oh, wow. Is there dancing?
You can if you want, out on the patio. It could be anything you want it to be. But it's just for a great cause. You know, Court-appointed special advocates, we recruit and train community volunteers to walk alongside children who are in the foster care system. And we don't have very many fundraisers, and this helps raise funds for us to continue to do more and serve more.
And it's grown from like when you start. When did you start?
July 16th, 2018. Somehow I have that date seared in my mind.
Well, so what's happened since then? You just had a few people that were doing some stuff, and now
we have certainly grown. Instead of one office, we have 3. So we have certainly a brick and mortar office. We just moved into the new Judicial Center in Madera. And we just also moved into the City Center in November of 2023, where we are continuing to serve foster youth who have aged out of the system who need just a little more guidance afterwards. Just like, you know, if you were 18, were you ready to be independent, or 21? So we continued on a volunteer basis.
And then you said you grew to like 25 staff. And before, when you started,
it was probably like maybe 9 or 10.
Wow.
And we have grown because there's just so many needs. And we wanted to make sure we met those needs. So yes, we have grown. Our budget has grown. So our payroll can grow to serve more youth.
Do you know how many volunteers that you have currently of like people that are fostering?
On an average, every year, it's probably ranges about 250, 270.
That's great.
Yes. And then...
and they have to go to classes, like you said, they have to learn.
Yes, they do. And we have classes, we increased that as well. So we now have 4 classes. It is something that they will always remember because they are learning about the child welfare system, what a child goes through, the perspective of the resource parents, the perspective of the biological parent, and truly what the child welfare system is like. And our advocates truly changing lives one child at a time.
Oh, how long have you been with CASA?
I've been with CASA for 7 or 8 months now. I joined in June of last year. as Wilma's assistant, and it has been such a pleasure. The team at Casa is just full of dedicated people, and everyone is there for the right reasons. It's so fulfilling to actually experience seeing the youth, and I work on the operations side, so I don't get to interact with the youth too often, but I have had the privilege of getting to actually hear the stories.
You're younger, so I would think they would connect with you a little bit more. I mean.
Well, a lot of the other staff are my age as well, and they worked with the kids directly, so it's just wonderful. And this would be my first chef cook-off as well. It was my first crab feed last year, so these are all really fun events, and they're just a great cause.
But it gets a little bit stressful. You guys have a lot of moving parts, and I've been to some of your events. So there's a lot of different things, and you're kind of the one coordinating this event, right? You're in charge?
I am. And so it's a learning curve for me, but it's also been a great growing process. And I'm learning so many new skills that I haven't had to exercise before. This is my first time coordinating an event. And I'm working closely with Chef Robert Ortiz, who is kind of the mind behind Chef Cook-Off. He came up to Wilma 3 years ago and said, Wilma, I want to do an event for Casa. Imagine we get some local chefs and we compete to
that's so
raise
awesome.
money. And so that has evolved from what I've heard, and this is going to be the biggest one yet.
So does that happen often, or people come to you with the ideas of what to do?
It does happen, that's for sure.
That's really cool.
It's just, I think our Fresno Madera community has heard about Casa, and they're like, well, I can't be a volunteer yet, but I do want to do something. But I have a business, or I have an idea. I'm willing to run with it. Would you like to be the benefactor? And the short answer is usually yes.
And that's great. And that's great for our viewers to know, because that is a big commitment to actually kind of foster it and do that. But if you're like, no, I have some resources, I would just want to donate a little bit what I can. I want to donate this, that, and the other. We can still do that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So we always say, right, we would love for you to be an advocate, because we have so many youth that need someone. And it's not like a 40-hour-a-week job. It's 10 hours a month. And it's basically visiting the child once a month, or texting them to see how their week was. They just need a consistent adult, especially teenagers. Our advocates sometimes voluntarily stay on for 5 years until they graduate high school. And can you imagine, this advocate totally can say, I saw this child come into the system with a low GPA. And because I advocated in the educational world, and I gave him hope, I encouraged him, I got him involved in whatever co-curricular, and watch him receive his diploma. There's a lot of happy moments.
Does your staff, can they also be advocates, or they don't really do both?
Not if they come in as an advocate, they usually finish up the case, and we do this so that there's fidelity there, in sense of we don't want to mix the two together. Are you acting as an employee, or are you acting as an advocate?
Oh yeah, it would get confusing. That makes a lot of sense,
right? So,
and they all work together anyway. At the end of the day, it's for the same goal.
Yes.
That is so cool. What are some success rates that you've seen? You were here last year. What are some of the things you've seen in that? Because I feel like so much has grown with you, and everybody does know who you are. Because I've been talking about for the past few weeks about you coming on. They're like, oh, is it this? And I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Oh, good. So we actually have a great marketing person too. So that's good news. And we worked really hard. And thanks to programs like yours, we're getting the word out about empowering foster youth, and that's through CASA. You asked about how we've grown.
Yeah, just in the past, because I think I went to your Mother's Day. That's the last time I saw your event and saw how that was. So yeah, that was about a year ago. So I feel like so much has grown since then.
Yeah, so we went from the one event, which is our signature crab feed event. So we're coming up on that one on Friday, September 13th. It is our 25th anniversary.
Oh, what a special year.
A special year. So we're going to start planning that one very quickly. And then we added for our foster youth between, Merced down to Kern County on May 25th. So it's like Memorial Day weekend, that Saturday. We have our foster youth being able to go to Wild Waters for almost free. It's like $5.
And you've been doing that one for a while, right? The Wild Waters?
That one.
You did that last year, right?
We did it last year. And I think we probably talked about that. So it's actually our second year.
So that was a success then last year. That's awesome.
Success, and that was in partnership with Lennar Homes, the Central Valley, who helped really organize it and be able to have their tradespeople sponsor so that our kids could go up and down the valley.
And I bet that was the first time that a lot of them had ever been to a water park, huh?
It was absolutely the first time for many of them. And we learned, right? We need to make sure they had the sunscreen and towels and everything else. And then, yes, Beauty Bash, I'm glad you could attend and see firsthand, was at a fabulous venue, the Smith Camp Bolt venue. And
I know, I felt like prestigious. It was like, like violence, like, woo.
Yes, and we had the pageant queens and princesses to greet you there. It was Mother's Day weekend, and it was just a fun time and a great weekend. If you needed holiday gifts, you were able to purchase it right then and there. And most of it was already gift wrapped. Again, just a lot of great community people coming out and say, we want to help CASA either by attending, by sponsoring. And actually, if I can't be an advocate, I can certainly share it out, and maybe one of my friends or relatives would want to be one.
For sure. How many events do you have a year pretty much for the community?
For the community, it is 3.
3 large for the community, and then we have small little community events. Like last week we had an event with Orloff Jewelers called Cupid Loves Casa, and we were raffling off a necklace, and people could go and buy raffle tickets.
Oh man, I missed that one.
I know, we announced the winner today actually. So yeah, 3 main events for the community at large.
So it's the crab feed, the beauty, and
chef cook-off.
And the chef cook-off. Wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. I'm so glad that this is like going strong. What are some of the things you want to see evolve?
Would love to have more advocates because of the high needs in both the Madera and Fresno County. We've seen it work where it's that one-to-one relationship, and just being able to talk to someone if you were a kid and say, hey, I got an A on my test, or I'm a little nervous about tryouts next week. And just someone to say, hey, I'm in your corner. You got this. Don't worry about it. You did your best. Just someone to encourage. It really makes a difference. And again, 10 hours a month. That's it.
Is there a cap on how many advocates there can be? Is there a waiting list of kids? How does that part work?
That's a really good question. At this point, we have anywhere between 2,600 to 2,900 children in the foster care system. Yes, that is quite a few in Fresno and Madera counties.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. We are not given, CASA is not assigned all 2,900. We are given probably the most high needs of those youth. And yes, we are serving about 6 to 8% of those on our waiting list. So we still have 32% we want to serve. So that's why,
sad.
Right? And I want to make sure that, and here's my goal. Here's where we can get the word out. I would like this time next year when I come back to say, Sparkle, we did it. I want to serve 100 more children as of today.
Well, that's a good goal. I mean, I feel like that's realistic.
I think so. And the only way we can do that is if we can have more community members to say, I can do this. And the most in terms of the hours to be committed is to the training, which is 35 hours, and it's condensed into 2 weeks. That's the longest time commitment. And then after that, it's just being with the youth for 10 hours. In fact, we have a training that's starting next week. That's in Fresno. Then in March, we'll have one in Madera, for Madera County.
So is that like once a month there's a training? So if somebody signs up, so if someone signs up next week, the training's already happening, they missed that one, you say, okay, we're having a training in March, we're going to get you started, let's do this, and then they go from there?
Yes, so and most of the time we have about 20 people in each class, and that's a good number to work with. So our Fresno trainings, and of course Madera can drive 20 minutes down the highway to come. Our trainings are mid-February, June, and September. End of September.
Oh, so there's 3 a year.
There's 3 in Fresno, and then the one in Madera specifically is in March.
Okay, so there's a time for everybody to kind of...
Absolutely. And if they can't attend that and they want to volunteer, we have 850 gifts to wrap every Christmas. So
Wow.
we would love to have volunteers help.
Did you tackle that this
I
past...
did not, but I saw the hard work that it that it took.
That's insane. So with the volunteer again, so you said 35 hours. Is that all in one for that month, like right away for that week? How does that work?
So it's spread out over a 2-week period, and it's 7 days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a Saturday. And the reason being is that they have a comprehensive look at the child welfare system. When they are done, they are sworn in by the Fresno County Superior Court judge or the Madera County Superior Court judge. And truly, when they're court appointed, they are court appointed. They take the oath as a CASA.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
And what are some of the things that you're looking for as far as...
An advocate?
Yeah.
Just the love of children, the dedication, the willingness to change. There's no specific skill sets that are needed at all. We will train, we will support.
Is there like an age range?
To be 21 and over.
Okay.
And we have 21 to 81.
You really do. Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And that's what I would think there'd be more like older people. Like when you said 81, that's a great, because there's a lot of retire they're not doing. I mean, how do we reach those communities to kind of tell them about it? Do you kind of go out and talk to them about it?
And for the most part, yes, they are ones that are easy accessible, and they do, and we love it. We also would love to have those who may have children the same age as our foster youth that can relate, who knows about Defy and skateboarding and things like that. So we welcome a diversity of youth or advocates.
And men and women.
Absolutely. We could use definitely men of color.
I bet they're not coming out as much, but you don't get as many men as you do women, huh?
Right. It's like our youth are 50-50, boys and girls.
Right.
And then our advocates, unfortunately, is tilted more so towards women.
And that's a great point you made. So you would rather have some more black men to really... that they can look up to, identify with it. That was really a good point.
And actually, and to reach the LGBTQ community as well, because we want to make sure our youth are represented and they can have someone that they can talk to and rely on.
So you do have a lot of that in the foster community. That's interesting. I'm so glad you brought that point up. I never thought about it, but that makes a lot of sense that now you would have a lot of that.
Yes, and we need advocates. Just that's what I said. It's like, everyone is welcome.
There's a need for
There is. There's a need for those who know American Sign Language, who are bilingual in Spanish, of the Southeast Asian community. I'm just thinking of things that we need right now.
Oh my God. What's it like? Okay, so a lot of these people who graduate, they're out of the system. Do you ever see CASA, people that were in CASA as the children, come out and then become advocates as adults?
It touches my heart that you say that. So, in fact, we have a Heroes of Hope, and one of the youth, Jamie Harris, is the spokesperson. Who, Sparkle, she brought the Voices of Hope, where we had all advocates. We honored them, and we had her advocate that she had for like 6 years, not one dry eye. And so here's Jamie, just supporting CASA. She's an advocate for foster youth and for CASA. So yes, and we do have a few.
That is a success story. I mean, that's what we hope, right? Paying it forward and seeing it grow like that. Yeah. So what did you think when you first started? You just started to get a job and then it became this?
No, I was familiar with CASA before I even applied for this job. So when I was 23 years old, I became an advocate with my mom. And it was early 2020, before COVID, and I did the February training, and it was honestly such a transformative experience. It's so funny that I'm now coworkers with Francisco, who taught the training.
Wow.
And that training really opens your eyes to the reality of what these children experience, and you go through training, so you're trauma informed. You learn about all the statistics of the odds that are against these children. And so I completed that training and I started my advocacy, and COVID kind of threw a wrench in things. And then I got married and then I started a new chapter of my life, but I never forgot about CASA. And then when I was on the search for a new job earlier this summer, I saw a job opening at CASA and I was like, duh, like absolutely I'm gonna apply. And it just worked out really well. I got hired within like 3 days.
Well, and I love that story that you said you actually did that with your mom, because
Yeah.
that's actually really cool. Like, people that are watching, they could do it with somebody else.
Yes.
And and that's a great bonding, and it's like something you guys can share together. I love that.
Yes, my mom and I had a sibling set of 4 children, and it made it seem more manageable. And of course, when you're an advocate, you do have to keep things confidential. So when you're doing it with a family member or a friend, you have that ability to process with that other person, because you share that information. And so, yeah, it was really special.
And then they can also see you guys like work together too, like a family, and then it's like a part of your. I love that. That is such a great story. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show today.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
So March 2nd, Fairgrounds. Where do we get our tickets?
You can go on our website at www.casafresnomadera.org.
And is that the same for everything? Facebook, Instagram, Casa Fresno
Yes.
Madera?
Casa Fresno Madera.
Okay. So Instagram, Facebook, Casa Fresno
You
Madera.
will find us.
I got it. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sparkle.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So we're continuing our fight for the fallen. We've had some of the organizers on the show a few weeks ago. Now we have you guys. And so you are the entertainment.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so that night I'll be main eventing against Jose Espinoza. I'll be fighting the sheriff. He's a sheriff here in town. And yeah, it'll be a great show. It'll be some fireworks.
So if you beat him, like, what? Then are you going to be afraid when you see like they're gonna be like, oh no, I'm going to get a ticket, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that? What?
Nah, I think it's just all for the sport. So, you know, it's just...
So you've already met him? You know who you're fighting?
I haven't met him yet, but I do know who I'm fighting.
You guys know of each other? Oh my goodness.
Sure.
That would be so intimidating. He's probably like a lot older than you, huh?
Yeah, he is actually. A lot of my opponents are. Most of
He
them
actually
are.
did know who he was when we proposed the fight.
Right.
He said, I want the fight. He goes, I know who he is and I want the fight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Jose, he knows who I am.
yeah, Jose. So when I said Josh Simpson is possibly an opponent, he said, I want that fight. Make that fight happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we contacted Josh, since I know Josh, and say, hey, you want to take the fight? He said, you know I do. He had been asking for a boxing match for the last couple of years.
Nice.
Obviously, he knew we were involved in other parts of other events, and he said, hey, whenever you have an opportunity, can you guys get me a fight? And I said, when that happens, I will call you. And the opportunity was presented. I said, I'm calling Josh Simpson. Called him. It was not even a maybe, or let me think about it. It was, yes, I'm in.
Yep.
And then when I told Jose, he was like, I want that fight too.
Wow.
Heck.
So this is really cool. You're fighting for a cause, because typically, what do you typically fight for as a fighter?
So typically right now I'm fighting for to get a great amateur record so that when I turn pro I could get a nice fat check for that debut. But for this specific fight, it's just going to be for charity, you know? It's going to be fight for the fallen, so it'll be just for first responders charity kind of thing.
But what happens if you lose? You lose street cred in the fighting world?
Not really. It's just about fighting hard. You know, as long as you go out there and fight hard, everybody kind of loves that. So you just got to leave it all out there.
Definitely not. This is what I try to tell a lot of the fighters that are fighting at the amateur level. Amateur level is for you to learn, for you to grow. So if you lose, grow from that, learn from that. And then when you go to the pros, that's when it matters.
So this is a time to lose. So if you got to lose, you can lose now. Okay, I like that.
If you're going to lose, this is a time to do so. But this is a time to grow and understand where you're at before you go to the pro level.
So how did you get involved in all of this?
So I actually started out with being on social media. Obviously, I cover boxing at the amateur level. I cover boxing at the pro level. And just...
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for a while. Actually, I actually was a fan of boxing when I was a kid. My dad hooked me up with some gloves, some boxing stuff, and then we ended up fighting, just regular, friends at home. And then we actually owned a place where they actually used to have fights back in the day. And so some of the guys that are actually trainers now, they were pros back when we were younger. I got in contact with a lot of them, and then I just started kind of going into their gyms again and checking out all the stuff, and then just got back into the boxing mix, and then social media kicked off, and then I started doing social media, and then met Ernie Jaime through Richard Ortiz from The Fighter's Voice, and then it's just kind of,
it is like a small world, kind of. It's small and intimate, but then it's
very small world. So everybody knows everybody,
right?
So you just I just worked off of that, and now I'm helping out with this event as the matchmaker and putting together the fights. Obviously, they trust my knowledge of the boxing world. And
so you look at these people and I think they could be well matched.
Definitely.
That's an important job. Oh my God, I would never want that responsibility.
That's exactly what you have to do is you have to see what kind of fighter this person is, and the other person also. What you don't want to do is mismatch the fighters, because obviously you want a competitive fight.
That's what I'm saying. You have the most important job, because it all comes to, if someone gets really hurt, they're going to be like.
So currently that's what I'm doing, and I do all the media stuff for them on social media. So I've been making all the posters. I've been putting out all the, current events that are changing, whether it's a new fighter, whether it's our up and coming media day. I've been putting posters out. I put posters, out for this event, on social media. So I was the one who made the, that he was going to be on your show. So I've just been doing all that stuff too, all in one. So I've been doing a lot of different things with this organization.
So how do you feel as well doing that? It's a charity event this time. Because I think that's really awesome that you guys go from these type of matches to now this, and really helping out the cause.
Central Valley Fallen Heroes is a organization here in Fresno that helps out, first responders, officers. They helped out Officer Carrasco's family. They gave a $5,000 check to them this past 2023. And then they also helped the Scantley family when that situation happened there when he lost his life. So this organization is always helping out. And so for me, being part of that, it's a win-win situation for me. Like I said, they do a great thing. So why not be part of a great organization and help out, the community, as they also help us out, because they are the people that are, patrolling our streets, keeping our streets safe, and first responders. So, like I said, it's a win-win situation and great place to be part of an organization like that.
I love that. Okay, so what am I looking at right here? This is so cool.
That's my Bakersfield, California Combat Championship. I won that in Bakersfield in October. One of my first amateur titles, actually. That's my first championship that I ever fought for and won. And yeah, it's been a pretty long run up until there. So
So what did you have to do to win this? How many butts did you kick?
A lot of butt. I've been fighting for what, 2 years? I think I actually met him at my second amateur fight. He took against Anthony Stipe. That's when he first started getting film out of me, and I didn't even know like of film like that, you know. So when he did that, I thought that was pretty big. I was pretty glad to meet him, and he's been with me on this whole journey since then. Some ups and downs in between then, some losses, some bounce backs, and then finally climbed back up to a title and got me a title and going to go for another one.
That is so cool.
What's funny about that story is I was there to cover his teammate Burgos for a fight because I actually had a good relationship with him too. And
did you even know about him at the time?
We knew about him, but he was fresh to the fight world.
Right.
But what was funny was I was there covering his teammate. You know, we were doing a small interview. We were trying to promote him too. And then as I was taking pictures, he tells me, he goes, "What about me?" And I remember this vividly like it was yesterday. He goes, "What about me?" He goes, "Don't forget about me." He goes, "Josh Simpson, come up, kid." He goes, "I'm going to be a champ one day."
I love that.
And I told him, I said, "Hey, let me take some pictures." So we started taking pictures, started posting stuff. And I told him, I go, "Hey, anytime you need help with, you know, promoting yourself, let me know. I'll put it out there for you." And we've done this since that day.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, yeah, it's been a progress from that time on. And I mean, like he said, he's going to be a champ. Well, he's proven it. He's a champ, and now he's going for another belt in boxing. Now this time, this is his MMA belt, but now he's going for a boxing match at the Fight for the Fallen, which will be March 17th at Full Circle Brewery.
And I'll be there.
And
right behind you,
you'll be there as one of our ring
Make
girls.
sure you don't hit me on accident.
But yeah, he'll be fighting Jose Espinoza in the main event for the belt there that day too.
Heck yeah!
So he's one of the 10. He's going to be one of 10 fights.
Main event that day too.
Yes, one of 10 fights for that event. Since we're having 10 fights that night, actually that afternoon, and like I said, Jose Espinoza and Josh Simpson will be the main event, and then we have co-main event in the heavyweight division, which will be Adam Zamudio versus Evan Solorio. So
how exciting! And then, so you mentioned something important: MMA and then versus boxing. So, what kind of fighter are you?
So I just consider myself a complete mixed martial artist. You know,
okay.
I don't want to be one or the other. I don't want to be an MMA fighter or a boxer. I just consider myself complete mixed martial artist all the way around. I can do whatever anyone can do. You know.
Wow.
Whether it be wrestle, whether it be jiu-jitsu, whether it be boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, I can do whatever they can do, you know? So a complete mixed martial artist.
That's impressive, but then how do you know how many hours to train a day for what? How does that work? Tell us the process.
All depends on the opponent I get at the time, you know? Like I stay working on everything at any given time just to make sure all my tools are sharp. But once I get an opponent like locked in and that's who we're gonna fight, then I'll start setting up my game towards whatever his dominant skill is, you know? So I can take that away from him and make it my fight.
How often do you know in advance who you're going to fight?
Most of the times it's 4 weeks out, 6 weeks out, but sometimes it could be like I just find out who I'm fighting overnight. I'll take an overnight fight. I actually did that before.
How was that? How did that work out?
I was on the way to cut weight with Burgos actually, because Burgos is main eventing that night, wasn't he? Against
main event.
Trifecta MMA, and I was on the way to cut weight with him, and my coach calls me like, "Hey, what do you weigh right now?" And I'm like, "Shit, like a lot." He's like, "Well, do you think you could cut at least like 11 pounds or try to?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You think you could fight tomorrow night?" And this was the night before the fight, before 5-5 night fights. And he was like, "If you can, let's do it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm with it." So then I got in the sauna with Georgie, cut as much weight as I can, got in the next day, weighed in, and then fought that day. Overnight.
And that's
that is so impressive.
Yes,
I love it.
It happens a lot in both boxing and MMA. There's fighters that take last minute fights. It's a gamble, obviously, but if you're a true fighter, you're always ready, you're always prepared, you're always in training. So those kind of things are normal to them. Like he said, I've been in that mix where I was actually next to another kid that's another teammate of his that we were, helping, out, promote and covering him and doing all these things. And I remember a fight fell out there on the spot. The guy couldn't fight. And his coach said, "Hey, you gonna fight?" And he said, "I'm gonna fight. I'll take the fight right now." Weighed in and
Wow.
That's how that world works. So
got to stay ready so you don't got to get ready.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, it's an amazing thing. Like you said, for us, we typically go out and try to get fighters within time. For this event, Fight for the Fallen, we actually started out months ago and made sure that we started getting the fighters that we needed and wanted to be part of this event. Months ago, we haven't had nobody say they can't fight, which is a great thing for us right now currently, but you never know. Things happen while they're participating in their training, so hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it does, we typically can find somebody who wants to take a last minute fight.
So how long have you always known you were going to do this?
I actually didn't. I used to play football my entire life. I played football all the way up until college. And after college, I felt like football wasn't really my thing no more. And so I just decided to pick up boxing at first. I didn't even do MMA yet. And then a year into boxing, I decided I wanted to do MMA. And then, I've been on that route ever since. So this will be my 3.5 year doing MMA and boxing.
Oh my goodness. So how is it like when you fight against people that have maybe been doing this their whole life?
At first you get nerve-wracking because you're like, dang, they probably know so much more than me. But then after you guys start fighting, you kind of realize everyone's just human, and it's all about how much heart you got to make it through that fight. So a lot of times I end up all right in those situations.
So how many fights total have you done?
So this will be my 10th fight. This will be my 10th fight coming up.
And you said you have one coming up like this month and then next. What's the rest period that you try to rest in between fights?
For me, since it's the Amis, I want to fight as much as possible. I really don't want to rest that much. If I could fight every other month, I would. But lately I've been off for like 4 months because I couldn't get a good fight scheduled, A lot of opponents dropped out, but normally just 1 month in between fights, not too long.
Oh my goodness, that's insane. So what do you think about his progress of what he's doing and where he's going?
His progress has been really, really good. The journey's been everything he said he really wanted to do. Obviously, like I said, he started out in MMA. When I got to know him more and more, he told me he was an amateur boxer, in the past when he was young, and he wanted to get back into that world too. And so that's how he just told me, he goes, next time you guys have an opportunity to give me a fight, I want in on that. And it happened to be that we got involved with this fight here, Fight for the Fallen, through Central Valley Fallen Heroes. And Jose was our person to begin with for the main event, Jose Espinoza. And then I was told, well, who do you think we can get as a person who can match up with Jose? And we had another opponent that we kind of thought, but this opponent also, said, I won't be around for that. And it was somebody that Jose actually wanted to fight also. And, but I was like, we're going to go with Josh Simpson. I said, he asked me for a fight. We're going to give him the fight. And as soon as I brought it up to Jose Espinoza, he was like, I want the fight. So that told me that he knew that this individual here had been working really hard at trying to be a champion in the boxing world too, and he had known about him already, so he took the fight on an instant. He just said, hey, I want the fight. So for us, we were like, that's main event right there for the fight for March 17th at Full Circle Brewery.
I love that. So, what does it take to go pro at this point for you?
Honestly, just staying on the journey I already been on, just staying on the energy I already been on, just staying in the gym, staying on top of all my paperwork, all my physicals, stuff like that, staying on top of my weight, and just everything that a professional fighter does, because it goes past just fighting. It's not just fighting all the time that's going to get you where you need to go as a pro. You got to take care of the things outside of the cage too, outside of the ring too. So just making sure all the things outside of the ring are right.
But I feel like the way how dedicated you are, that you have you kind of have a set time in mind, I'm gonna have this by this time, this by this time. So what's your goal?
So I'm hopefully turning pro May or June this year.
That fast? Is that how it happens?
Yeah.
Have you seen that happen too?
Yes, actually, a lot of the fighters now currently have a lot of options to turn pro, and it's actually really good for them. because a fighter's lifespan isn't that big.
Right.
Right. So they're working hard constantly. Their body isn't always going to be up to par for, the longevity. Not everybody has that. So with them turning pro soon, sometimes it's really good for them, and then sometimes it's not for some. Obviously, being an amateur, the amateur circuit right now is almost at the pro level. It's changed. Everything has changed so dramatically. It isn't like it used to be where some of the fighters were fighting and it was for fun, or if it was just for, trying to, make a name for yourself within the community. No, now a lot of these fighters are ranked in the world. They're ranked in California. They're ranked in the United States. So the process has changed dramatically to the point where some of these organizations that are at the amateur level, they are doing pro style events, and they're conducting themselves with their fighters at the pro level. So those kids that are fighting there, they're well prepared to jump to the next stage and to the pro level. So it's not like before where some of these guys would say, well, maybe you'll fight 10 more fights and then maybe we'll work your way up to the pros. No, now it's to the point where you can fight at an amateur level, maybe X amount of fights, and then go to the pro level. Wow. And then obviously the biggest thing is for some of them to go above that. So the
big stage.
The big stage.
And are you from here?
Yeah, I'm from Fresno, actually. I'm actually from downtown Fresno, too. This is crazy.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
So, what about you? Where are you from?
I'm actually from Visalia.
So we're all Central Valley people.
We're all Central Valley, yeah. But I'm always here in Fresno because my business is here in Fresno, where I work at. So I'm always here.
I'm looking forward to September. I'm looking forward to March 17th. March 17th.
Yes.
St. Patty's. Does that mean we all wear green? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Am I wearing green?
Yeah. I don't know
it's going to be St. Patrick's Day, the Fight for the Fallen, first event ever with Central Valley Fallen Heroes.
My first main event.
His first main event, March 17th. It's going to be an early event. The first fight kicks off at 2:00. Doors open at noon. It's going to be a great event. Obviously, you've
Fireworks.
been to our event and part of our event yourself in the past to the different events that have been.
I'm excited about being in March. Right. It's not going to be too hot or too cold, so that'll be fun.
That's true too.
It's going to be a great event and great time. We actually have, like we said, 10 fights lined up. Some pretty good boxers from some good gyms that are associated here, in Fresno, and then some from outside of Fresno that are going to be fighting. Like we said, officers from Fresno PD. We're going to have officers from Fresno sheriffs. We're going to have officers from other parts of the valley participating in it. So it's just going to be a big event.
Okay, so before we go, I want to know your guys' social media. Everyone needs to follow you.
Yeah, ComeUpKid559 on Instagram, ComeUpKid559 on Facebook, and yeah, that's about it for right now.
And so mine is Boxing Vitals on Instagram and Boxing Vitals on Twitter, which is X now, which I'm not too fond of that change, but on X now. And that's it. Those are my two platforms that I use, also on YouTube. So
thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. Big time.
See you on the 17th.
All right. Be there, guys. You guys can get tickets at Boxing Vitals, or you can reach out to Josh Simpson.
559 on Instagram.
You can also reach out to Yank Fan, and you can also reach out to Central Valley Fallen Heroes Association. They have tickets too. So still tickets available. It's going to sell out. We've already sold at least approximately, I believe, 500 tickets already.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a sold out event. So
don't miss it. Fireworks on the way.
Don't miss it.
Fireworks on the way, man.
Thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
I've wanted you for a while.
I know. It's been a while. It's been, things just came up, but finally I'm so happy to be here and, finally.
And you've been acting for quite some time.
Yeah, I started in 09 actually. I started in 09. There was a feature film here in Fresno, Finding Hope Now. And with Carolyn DeVore, I remember I went to audition with her and stuff. And
That's how I got my start, was with Carolyn.
yeah, with Carolyn, and she's all, I mean, you know, rest in peace, Carolyn. And yeah, I mean, I started in '09, and you know, try to go from there. But you know, just I think that working on Finding Home Now, just if I didn't even, you know, get to be on that, I would never, you know, still continue it or something, you know.
Isn't that weird? Just one movie and that changes everything?
Exactly, because I was like, yeah, there's no way I could, you know, get into this industry.
Who'd you work with?
For
Finding Hope Now.
Well, I mean, it was the director. Or?
Yeah, like who was all in the movie?
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. Jennifer Tadlock was a director. Michael Badalucco, Avin Johia from Nickelodeon. He was on Victorious. You know, I got really to connect with a lot of some great actors.
And you didn't know like anybody, huh?
I know,
you just went straight from like from working with Carolyn to boom.
Yeah. I remember she wanted me. I had never auditioned before. She wanted me to audition for one of the lead roles. I was like, well, I remember I went into the room and you know there was like 10 people. Okay, you know, I think you know KP. KP was there, and I was just like, what do I do? Who do I read with? Like, you know, and you know, but I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything, the being on set, and you know, just from there, I got some great tips from some of the actors there, and you know, just started going to LA. Finally, you know, in 2010, I got my first manager, my first agent. You know.
And your agent and manager was in LA?
Yes. Well,
so how did that work? Are you living in the Central Valley and going to LA?
Yeah, so, I mean, that was the thing back then. It was like where you had to have your actual, you know, now everything's digital, but back then you had to have your actual headshot printed and your resume and all that.
And then reels were kind of becoming a thing. Yeah, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, so what I did was I printed out, I got some headshots done, I printed them all out. And I drove around LA just dropping them off to each agent office, you know, and managers. Some would take it, some wouldn't. Some would, you know, just be like, hey, we don't take unsolicited materials or whatever. But I dropped a couple of them off, and, you know, they ended up calling me back. I think it was more because they were looking for, like, bilingual talent. So, you know, I ended up getting with Almond Talent in LA and with Kim Matuka from Scholler Talent, who's still going strong. She has office in New York and stuff, and yeah, I mean, it just started off from there, you know. Just I started taking actual classes and stuff, like, because I didn't. I mean, I was.
So you took classes in LA?
Yes, I was taking classes in LA.
So did you have like a place to stay when you were going back and forth to LA?
No, I would just go, you know, back and forth. Yeah, I would just go.
No way.
Yeah, I would just drive. Even for auditions, you know, like 2-3 hours for an audition.
Gosh.
And yeah, but now everything changed, you know, with COVID, everything's self-tapes now.
Thank goodness.
Thank God. Yeah, thank God it's self-tape, so it's a lot easier, you know.
But you really would go for one audition and just go.
Yeah.
Your agent and manager must have loved you. They must have thought you were a really great guy. Like,
well, they didn't know I was, you know.
You lied that day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what Carolyn DeVore taught you to do that. Huh? She taught me to lie too.
They didn't know I lived out here because I would think they wouldn't have signed me if I.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It is so important people know this. I'm so glad you're being so honest.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have signed, you know, back then. Now they're more lenient.
They are, but yeah.
Because I have.
But it is hard to take a gamble because you don't know if someone's really going to come or not.
Yes,
and Grapevine does have some issues.
Exactly. There was times where I was like, oh man, I can't make it. I had to make something up, you know, because I wasn't going to be able to make it, you know, to the audition.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, just things changed with COVID, and I'm kind of glad it did because, you know, we get more opportunities now with self-tapes. You know, we get to audition for projects that are, you know, I auditioned just one in Texas. I have an agent in Texas, and
so you still have agents in multiple places?
Yeah, because now, like I said, it's easier. Well, my manager, he's really hooked up with this agent from Texas.
Oh, that's good. So he's kind of like you guys all. You guys all work together.
Exactly.
For you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just auditioned for something for a show in Texas, and I mean, back then it would be not even possible to do that. You know, back in like 2009, 10.
So what's some of the stuff you've been doing? Right now we're talking back in the early days of Humble Stuff. You've been doing a lot of big things. So tell our audience what you've been up to.
Yeah, so recently, the most recent thing I've done was I worked on America's Most Wanted, the TV show, the second season that came back with John Walsh. I played one of the fugitives. It was supposed to air yesterday. That's what my casting had told my agent, but they switched it up because they now have live guests on the show. Before they didn't have they'll have parents of the. Okay. Yeah, so it's way different now. And I guess And my episode, the person couldn't make it on the certain day, so they had to push the episode. But it should be on next week or the week before that. It should be coming up pretty soon.
How fun!
Yeah, it was great working on that. And I just also had a theatrical release for Malibu Horror Story, which is a horror movie. It got released in select theaters. It was like 152 theaters around the country. I was one of the leads. I was like my first ever lead.
So what was your character like?
Like me, it was crazy because the director, he made it, like, I remember when I saw the breakdown and everything and my agent sent it to me, I was like, this is perfect for me, like, I need to book this, like, it's like, describes me so well, like, skater, Mexican, whatever, from, East LA type, whatever. And I remember I auditioned for it. The audition process was so hectic. It was like, and that was crazy because I was driving to LA at the time just to audition. And it would be like, okay, first audition, second audition, and then we had a third audition. And it was like, I'm not gonna get this. I'm just wasting my time, man. God did his thing, and I ended up getting the call from the producer, like, hey, you booked the job. And we shot it in 2010 with a very low, 2010 or 11 with a very low budget. And we shot it and everything, and it was kind of like the proof of concept, because after that they showed it to Henry Kessler, who's a producer. I'm not sure if he's still with Paramount, but he was a pretty big producer in LA. He loved it, and he actually put in, he's like, let's reshoot this thing, like, let's make this, because at the time, Paranormal Activity, all those.
Oh, that was
like a found footage type, like the found footage. It was like, they were making millions and millions off of low budget,
right?
So that was the thing that was with this movie. The director and producers were trying to sell it as a real. They wanted unknown actors. Obviously, at the time, I hadn't done any like commercials or anything, so they were like, yeah, man. They cast me, and it was Vino Miller, who's actually Master P, the rapper Master P's son. He played he played one of the other characters. And yeah, so
when did you guys get to actually shooting the full?
In 2012, 2012 we shot the whole thing with a bigger budget. It was like a legit, my first, with a trailer and everything, I was so all stoked and everything. And we shot it there. We shot it it was all in Malibu. We shot parts of Malibu, parts in Santa Clarita, like the Blue Cloud Ranch, like a studio. There we shot like the because it's based inside a cave. Everything happens outside.
I want to see this. Okay, so we're gonna watch it now.
So the thing is, right now the producers are trying to bring it back into theaters. They're hoping to bring it back into theaters because they think it would do a lot better.
When did it get released in theaters?
October 20th was released in theaters.
So now they're trying to bring it back.
Yeah, they're trying to bring it back, but a lot of people, there's a lot, found footage has a lot of fans and stuff, and a lot of people have been hearing about it, and they're like, I want to, like, where can we watch it on?
Yeah.
So it should be streaming and everything on video on demand and all that in a couple months. But they do really want to bring it back into theaters, so hopefully they can.
Oh my gosh, keep us posted on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I see like every month it's something new. So tell us about some of the other projects.
And commercials as well. I've done national commercials. I worked on Cricket Wireless. I've done for DoorDash. I did a DoorDash commercial. It was like an NBA DoorDash. Kind of like what do you call it? Like they just collaboration. So they collaborated and they did like a DoorDash NBA thing, and it was airing around, I think it was like a year or two ago. It was during like the NBA playoffs and stuff. So yeah, I've done that, and also print. The only print I've done has been for Brooks Running, the shoe company. I did that, like.
Well, you have nice shoes.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was out of nowhere. I never like me. I'm no model, but my agent was like, well, let's submit you. Let's start submitting, because nowadays they want any body type, any height. They don't expect you to be
right.
6 foot and taller now and all that. So yeah, it's been cool. It's been pretty good.
So have you? shifted through agents and managers, or have you stuck with the same? Like, how has that process been?
Yeah. So when my first agent was Almond Talent, and they were very beginner, they were developmental. You know, they were like, let's start you off. They'll get you little co-star auditions here and there. Non-union. I was non-union back then as well. Now I'm in the union, the SAG-AFTRA union. So yeah, once you start leveling up in your resume and your career, you wanna try to look for a bigger, try to go for bigger agencies and stuff. Yeah, so I've been with a couple other agents. I was with Coast to Coast Talent Group for theatrical. I was with them for a while, and things just didn't work. Sometimes it's just like, it's business. Things sometimes don't work out. So I looked for another agent and also a manager. I was with a couple managers, but right now I'm kind of sticking to it just because things been going good. I'm with Altomedo Management and Spectrum Global for theatrical and commercial.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's it's been going good. Things are picking up, but yeah, the strike kind of messed everything
up. Messed everything up. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And now we can work again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know how it is. And yeah, it was rough. It was a rough time during the strike. Everything just we never knew when everything was going to pick up or if it was going to pick up, but yeah.
So then what happened when it was over? Did people start calling you and be like, now you got this, that, and that? Because that's what happened to me. I didn't even act in any movie last year at all.
Yeah, no, same here.
And then,
I didn't work.
all of a sudden they called me and they're like, and I'm like, I auditioned for that like over a year ago. Like, you got the part and we need you in LA like in 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did audition. I auditioned for Stranger Things. I was actually one of the top 5 for the role. And COVID hit. The strike hit, and it was like, what happened? Like, am I gonna get it? Like, we were, it was like,
oh my goodness.
I ended up not getting it, but just knowing that casting,
Man,
I was one of the top.
That COVID kind of did that for me too, where it's like certain things just didn't even get filmed ever. That we were that was this close.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
what about locally? What have you been doing? I know we talk about LA, but we do local things. What have you been doing locally?
Locally, I'm just
who have you worked for locally? Because didn't you work for
Falcon Pictures? I worked a lot with them. Yeah, Falcon Pictures.
Marcus Spencer, didn't you work with him?
Marcus.
Yeah,
I did with Spencer. I did the State of Consciousness. That was also I think that was I don't remember when we shot that, but it was another more recent after, because I took a break from acting as well. I had my daughters. I have 2 daughters, and life just comes at you, and it was like I have to focus on this now instead of acting. Hopefully I'll come back to it. And yeah, after a year, or I think it was 2-3 years that I took a break from it, and I came back and I ended up working with Marcus on State of Consciousness. And yeah, there's a lot of great talent here in Fresno for sure. A lot of very talented people, and Falcon Pictures with Danny, and they got some good projects as well. And I know you've worked with some great.
Yeah. What project did you do with Falcon Pictures?
I worked on Ghetto Busters with them. Yeah, I played one of the gangsters, the little cholo guys on their one of the episodes. I think it's streaming on Tubi still. And what else did I do for them? Can't remember right now, but yeah, I've worked with them a couple times. They always reach out and stuff. And
what about the awards? Because I feel like I always see something you're doing that gets an award, in a movie. You're like, well, how's that going?
Yeah, I actually did a short film, El Halcón. I was the lead in it, and yeah, it's been doing great. Or actually, Malibu Horror Story. That one, that was my first film, feature. Worked as a lead and everything, and I didn't know about the award circuit. The first festival circuit, and I was thinking we'll probably get 10, awards, maybe, whatever. And they ended up getting 69 awards. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it took 69 awards, and it was crazy. Nobody expected it. It won, from a lot of big awards. You know, best feature, best horror. You know, we got nominated. I think I won best ensemble cast.
I love that.
Yeah. So
what should we look out for now? What's the next thing we could see you in?
So yeah, America's Most Wanted should be coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, America's Most Wanted. I play Lil Papi, one of the gangster, or he's like a Colombian drug dealer. And yeah, I mean, also look out for Malibu Horror Story. I'm pretty sure it'll be.
I want to see that.
Yeah,
I do want to see that.
It's really good. You know, a lot of people were, you know, they were like, wow, they weren't expecting that. You know, it's a really fun movie, really great. If you're really into horror, found footage, and all that, it's a great one. I think it's gonna do good.
So tell your followers, and our viewers, where they need to follow you at.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram as Hector E. Gomez Jr. and also on Facebook as Hector Gomez Jr. You know, they could look up, and I have a couple, you know, projects on there, little clips and stuff that they could see. And you know.
If you guys want to hire him.
Yeah, you guys want to hire him.
Somebody put us together in something. I would love to work with you.
For sure, I want to work with guys. Please, I want to work with Sparkle.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Summertime, it felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time